This is the countdown. This is the countdown to the Dan and Kody podcast. This is the countdown. This is the countdown. 20 seconds left until it starts. This is the countdown. This is the countdown to the Dan and Kody podcast. This is the countdown. This is the countdown. Get ready for it to take off.
Ding! It's done. You pull it out. You check the temperature. You engage it. You embrace it. Is it moist? Is it just the right temperature for you to slice into that thing? Break it apart. Watch the fluid come out of it. You know it's exactly what you wanted. You know you can't wait for that warm taste as it hits your tongue, dribbles down your lips. That's what it is. That's how you know that it's hot, it's ready, and it's just for you.
This is the Dan and Kody podcast.
This is it. Right here, Kody. You put on those headphones and you go to work.
Why are you yelling?
This is where our message is heard. It's time to get hyped. Say it with me.
What are we saying?
Dan and Kody.
Dan and Kody.
Dan and Kody.
It's Dan and Kody podcast.
Dan and Kody podcast.
Dan and Kody podcast.
Get some.
Dan and Kody podcast.
Whoa.
Welcome to this week's Dan and Kody podcast, where the maturity level has been brought down a 2 or 3. Okay.
Just a couple notches.
And just so you guys know, so you pervos out there, what I was describing. Dan, tell them what I was describing.
Ridiculously good sex.
Turkey.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Turkey.
Sorry.
Turkey.
You had me there.
Turkey. Come on. Cutting into that turkey, being the first slice, getting the flavor. Hot, moist turkey.
I thought you said getting the first slide. Like slide in.
Slide in. Well, I mean, depending on how moist your turkey is.
There was a lot of double entendres. If you ask me.
I entitled that Double Entendre. I dated a girl named Double Entendre for a couple of years, and let me just say, you thought things were going somewhere, but it was always a message I didn't get. I always took it too literal, I suppose. So
double entendre.
Would you name
double
your kid
entendre Elena Jackson.
Double entendre Elena Jackson Barrett? It's like 17 names. Oh man, I like the name Double.
Just the name Double.
Like
I wouldn't name a kid Double. No, maybe Dublé.
You know, Patrick Mahomes just had a baby.
I saw.
And did you see the name on it? It's Patrick Bronze Mahomes.
Yeah.
I almost feel like he's kind of downgraded his kid.
Couldn't it go silver?
Couldn't it go gold? Couldn't it go platinum? What are you
Couldn't
saying bronze for? You might as well just name your kid brass.
Patina?
Oh yeah. Got pewter.
Yeah.
This is my Patrick Pewter Mahomes. Nerf. It's like,
and like, did he play? Did he play this week?
Yeah, he did play. He played Sunday. Sunday was he was in the second round of games. So he was at the 4:00 Eastern games or whatever it was.
And his baby was born Sunday?
I saw the news. I think it was yesterday.
Baby was born yesterday.
Yeah. But they play in Kansas City. Yeah, of course. Dude, these guys play. These guys play through births.
I don't know. I don't like it. Can we just normalize? Can we normalize a pro athlete like taking time for a child to be born?
NBA players do it. Because there's 82 games a year. NFL games, there's only 17. Smaller amount. They got to win. And if you're the main star, you're fourth string. Yeah, Jerry, you're good. We're going to bring up somebody from the practice squad for the day. You go ahead and take care of your fan.
even then, even Jared on the practice squad's probably got like a week tops, right?
I mean, let's be fair though, too. This man, like it's Patrick Mahomes. It's the quarterback of the
He's a
team.
stud, biggest stud in the NFL.
Guy's making $500 million with like 350 of it guaranteed or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
every minute on the field.
Yeah, like if I'm Kansas City, it's like, oh, that's cool. You're having a baby. Just make sure you're at the game because we got to win. I'm sorry, we are literally we literally had to sign Heinz to come in and sponsor us so we could pay for you.
Dude. If I had any control over what Patrick Mahomes does, and it was my money that he was making, he wouldn't drive. He wouldn't drive. He wouldn't do shit.
Yeah.
I'd have a chauffeur for him everywhere to go.
Yeah.
Like,
I know
I'd
that
keep
there was
his ass on ice.
There was a big clause in some of these NBA players' contracts that say that like I know with Jordan, one of his big rules was he's like, I got to be able to play basketball wherever I want. I can't have you guys controlling that. And so
he had playing ball.
He basically had a clause in his contract that allowed him to basically pick up a basketball and play wherever, whenever he wanted, no limitations. So the piece of that was like, it's too bad if I get hurt doing that. Like, you guys have to understand, that's part of what you're getting with me. I have to be able to play whenever I want, however I want. Like, you can't hinder that. And I think, like, there's something about that.
Remember when Des Bryant had like all that trouble, and then his contract changed to where he had like a curfew and handlers. Like,
oh yeah,
he basically had like a Jiminy Cricket figure, like show him right from wrong when he enters different situations. Like, I think we should leave, Des.
Like, you know who Kyler Murray is?
Yeah,
you saw his contract, right? Because he played so many video games. Some of the rules with his contract were that because he signed this new $230 million contract with 110 of it guaranteed. Part of the rules with it were that he's required in his contract to watch X amount of film every week because their concern is that he's getting distracted during the middle of the season with video games and he's not focusing on his job.
Jeez, these fucking kids, man.
Yeah. So,
like, you got on one hand, I get it. Like, I don't know, if I was just making that much money, I wouldn't do shit.
I don't know, man. I like, you're still a person, like, beholden to anything. It's kind of like this idea, like, you wouldn't let like prop store control who you can hang out with and do what you want to do, right? Like, to some degree.
Yeah. But like,
you respect their rules, but at the same time, you also have to have a life outside of whatever it is you're doing.
Sure, but like, I mean, something that requires my physical attributes that are being so heavily relied on, like them missing
attributes not heavily relied on at the prop store.
I mean, sure, but like, not to the extent of Patrick Mahomes' physical attributes are relied on for his team to succeed.
Sure. Like,
you know what I mean?
If you hurt your leg, prop store is still going to work. But if Patrick Mahomes hurts his legs and he's out, like, the team's pretty much they're like, the chances of them winning the game go from 90% to like 20.
Yeah. So like, if he's hanging a picture on the wall and he misses the nail,
right,
and whacks his finger, like, that's big news.
Yeah.
That's massive.
That's true. That's very true. It's very true.
And I'd be like, no picture hanging on the wall, Patrick. Not during the season. Not September to January.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, June to January. Like, we need to make sure you're healthy from before the season even kicks off.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can do something weird like that in March. If you want to hang pictures in March, okay.
But you knock it off come season.
That's right. That's right. Well, now he's got bronze Mahomes to take care of. So
Is that their first baby?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Anyway.
Well,
There
good
we go.
job, buddy. Hope you get some time off. So this what I'm wearing, what would you call this?
Am I Canadian or am I me?
You're you. It's knit. It's
I
cotton.
call it a beanie.
I think that's the right answer.
I call it a beanie. However, if you are in other parts of the country or in Canada, it's called something completely different. It's like what the hell is it called? Beanie names in Canada, like beanie name in Canada. I saw that. There we go. It's called a tuck. No, that's not what I was looking for.
A what?
It's called a tuck.
A tuck.
A TOQUE. A tuck.
I've heard skull cap.
Skull cap. I've heard skull cap. A toboggan. Is that what it is? Toboggan?
Toboggan? No, I don't know.
Toboggan hat. Here we go. Toboggan hat is also known as a beanie. Toboggan. I've heard toboggan before.
Toboggan hat.
Yeah. TOBOGGAN.
Well,
Yours a skull cap probably makes more sense, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's cold. It's cold in Los Angeles, right? And I need something to cover my head because I have no hair.
I mean, and cold in Los Angeles, Dan. Come on.
It's cold. It's cold for me. It's cold on my head. It's cold on my head.
I need something. It'll get mid-40s at night. And then it pops up to like 75 degrees in the day.
I don't know who you are or what kind of manliness you're trying to prove right now, but that's cold. 40's cold.
I mean, I will turn, to be fair, like I'll turn the heat on when it gets down in the 40s. You know, we keep a nice 70-degree temperature in the house all the time, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't like colder, but like cold, man. You grew up in Maryland, man. Like, you know, cold.
I haven't lived there since 2008.
Yeah, but like your formative years.
I forget.
By the frigidity of the icicles that hung from the chimneys that bear and the eaves that hung. Like that's what you remember, man. You walk outside, see the thing, you could feel your nose hairs just crinkle.
I remember it, but it's gone. So
40 degrees, your nose hairs don't crinkle. Just an FYI.
I can't handle it. Anyway, I need something that's sometimes not a baseball hat and that's sometimes not like a straight up winter cap.
Okay.
So I Googled, cotton knit beanie, and this popped up, right? I thought it was cool. I thought nothing of it. I also like that it doesn't go that low on my neck,
First thing, that was it. That was the first thing that popped up, huh?
It's one of the first images, and I was like, that's it. I really like that. Then, and it's like, there's a white model wearing one, there's a black model wearing one. And it was called but here's the funny thing though. I go to work and jokingly my friend's like, Assalamu alaikum, my brother. And I was like, what? And then I was like, wait a second. And then somebody else later that day told me that I look a little Middle Eastern. And then I was like, wait, what? And then I started putting it together. So then I Googled Islamic hat. And you know what came up?
That same exact beanie.
Not only the same exact beanie, the same exact listing.
Really?
On Amazon, but a different model.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and a different title of the thing. So I'm not mad. Here's my thing. I don't care if I look Islamic or Middle Eastern wearing this thing, that's fine with me. You
Mhm.
know? I just think it's interesting that like you're selling the same thing to different people. And
Hey, it's where you know that your market lies, right? Like these are
right.
who you can sell your product to. Like if anything, it's like you got to salute the people that make the hat.
Right. And then
They
and then
know
and then
who's going to buy it.
and the other listing they got like a hipster like girl wearing it. And it's like, okay, they're selling this to everybody. The thing is, what I'm most nervous about, it's not that people mistook me for being Middle Eastern or whatever. I don't give a shit what people think I am. It's that I don't want to be seen as someone culturally appropriating Islamic culture. You know what I mean?
I don't like I get what you're saying, but I think you're kind of like
Is it a stretch?
yeah, I think it's a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
Especially
I
like
think
this
it's just
time
a
of
knit
year.
hat.
It's just a knit hat, man. I mean, culturally appropriating. Yes, I've seen, Muslim men wear skull caps. Okay. I like okay. And
Yeah.
I've also seen them not wear it. So I don't know, man. Cultural appropriation. Like that's I don't know. I think
I'm
that's
also
more extreme than it needs to be.
interested to see how if I'm treated any differently wearing this versus another hat. So I'm testing it out.
And
I haven't seen much difference. Nobody talks to me.
I mean, you're in the same you're running in the same circles, so they know who you are. And you were
Yeah.
treated differently because they said, "Assalamu alaikum, brother." Like,
Right.
they wouldn't have said that to you if you walked in with a Dodger hat, I'll tell you that.
Right. I'm like, what?
So
I'm
you
just
you
trying to
they
stay
obviously
warm, man.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Sure, I get it.
So there's that.
Yeah, I get it. Well, it's a hat, so you look nice.
Thank you.
Nice. You look nice.
Thank you, me. I appreciate it.
A lot is going on. We've had Thanksgiving. We
Yeah.
had Black Friday, and we had Magic Monday, whatever you want to call it, Cyber Monday, Cyber Sex Monday, where you
Cyber Sex Monday.
Cyber Sex Monday, where they sell discounted sex toys, 67
Yeah.
best prices you guys can get out there on sex toys or on Cyber Monday. Takes
You
you back
get you one of
early
them
days.
$5,000 sex dolls that'll talk to you.
Like if you're spending $5,000 on a sex doll, I mean, I don't know, man. You're spending
Yeah, you
$5,000
might
on
as well.
a sex doll. You might as well just I don't know, you could mail order bride something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Catch a flight to where they're selling sex good, and with that $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Anyway, so all of this is happening. I got a crazy story that I came across. Very peculiar. So in New York, Fifth Avenue, there's an Apple store. It's this beautiful Apple store that's got like this cube, and it's in front of this big building, and you go into these doors and then you walk down into the Apple store. It's underground. Beautiful.
Okay.
And this guy came in at like 1 a.m. because the Fifth Avenue location's open 24 hours a day in New York. So it doesn't close. It's open 24 hours a day, especially this time of year. And a guy purchases 300 iPhone 13s. So he's got 3 bags, and he's walking to his car at 1:45 when another car pulls up to him and 2 men jumped out and demanded that he hands over the bags.
3 bags of 300 iPhones?
3 bags of a total of 300 iPhone 13s. So
Oh
the
my
guy,
God.
the guy doesn't want to hand over him. They put up a fight, and he ultimately gets punched in the face by these thieves, and they make off with one of the 3 bags. So they make off with a bag containing 125 iPhones that he spent $95,000 for. So police question this guy, and they asked him why he was buying all these iPhones, and what he does is he sells them, he resells them at a store that he has. And he said that, he just happened to do it that late at night. Does that seem a little peculiar to you?
It does.
1 a.m., 300 iPhones. Just
And you get
happens to be in the
robbed.
middle of the night. Like, it's like the worst time. Like, if you're walking around with 3 giant Apple bags in New York City and nobody's out on the streets, I mean, relatively nobody's out on the streets, you make yourself a target. I think it's
Yo, why didn't they get away with all the bags?
because he started fighting him. I
So
think
they just settled for one after they punched him in the face?
you still get 125 iPhones, which are retailed at $95,000.
And they're 13s?
Yeah. Personally,
What
I think
what do you
what this
think
guy
he's running?
does, I think what this guy does is he says, okay, tells his buddies, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go in. I'm going to buy 300 iPhones like I do every year, right? To sell in my store. I need you guys to attack me, punch me in the face, take one of the bags. I file a police report. Insurance, because I buy them underneath my business. Insurance covers the cost of 125 of them. 95 grand, right? I have 300 of them. That means that I can sell those 300, the other 200 and what is it? Or 175. I can sell
Yeah.
175 at whatever I normally sell them at. Plus I get reimbursed, and then we can split the excess cash because he's got an extra 95 grand that he didn't have now. If he's in cahoots with these guys selling these iPhones.
Yeah. I think that's probably right, dude. Without knowing these people,
Yeah.
I think that's a long haul scheme.
Yeah. So in turn, he basically gets 125 free iPhones that he can then sell for 100 grand. He can split it 3 ways with these guys. They each get 30 grand. And then in turn, he can continue to sell his other phones. Hell, he
But
could even probably resell those phones in his store.
couldn't Apple just brick the
They
stolen phones?
They could, and maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe. I
Or
don't know what their process is.
or even like track them? Because I know you can do the like find my iPhone even if your iPhone's dead.
Yes, but that's only after you register the phone. If these
Right,
phones have never
right.
been registered, he didn't sit in the Apple store and like register all these phones because he wants to sell them brand new.
I bet you they can go in because I'm sure what had to happen was at the store they had to scan each box
Of
for
course.
to ring them up,
Yeah.
and then the ones he doesn't have, they'll just brick those fuckers.
It'll be interesting it'll be interesting if they do, because he can probably take those overseas and sell them for a whole hell of a lot more. And they're small enough to where you could put a ton of them in your bags and nobody's even going to know.
Yeah.
You can carry on, and they're not going to question. They're like, well, this guy's got 30 iPhones in his bag as carry on. I mean, you can't stop him for that.
Yeah, you can. That's flaggable. You've brought in goods over whatever your country says is the limit.
That's if they're
And then you
checking
gotta
your carry-on when you get off. They don't check your carry-ons when you enter a new in a international space, because you've been checked before you've left. So what I'm saying is, like, if you're carrying it onto the plane, I think the only issue is like the batteries.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Like, oh, all of these are brand new iPhones. They all have these batteries. It's too many batteries to bring on a plane, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But-
Sir, your bag's going off for fucking 130 batteries.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think there's something there. I mean, it's so weird that it's like that in the middle of the night.
That's definitely shady. That's shady. That's
Yeah.
shady as shit.
I love this because one of the comments in this website was, this guy writes, "What a coincidence! That's where I was going to pick up 450 iPhones tomorrow morning." Because nobody buys 300 iPhones that way.
At
Just so you know,
midnight.
somebody went on. Let's see. Sounds like this is an inside job. Look at this. The guy went on to Apple's website. He put in an order for 300 iPhone 13s with 512 gigabytes. The total came to $308,000.
Jeez.
And if you bought Apple Care for all of those, it's 45,000 on top of it. So you're at $350,000. So if you're able to get your insurance to pay for 125 of them, that's 100 grand. Plus you're able to then sell it. I mean, you've already almost like covered you've covered at least 2/3 of your cost. And then you have, almost 200 iPhones you can sell.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. Anyway.
You're so good.
Anyway. Well, you guys, that's a crazy crime that we didn't true crime, but kind of interesting. Watch your Black Friday pockets.
I got a dilemma, man. I got a big dilemma, and it's almost a confession to make.
I mean, it's really her choice, Dan, and you can't stop her if that's like what she wants to do. You have to support her. It's her choice.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's
and
true.
like, what did I tell you, man? She's the nanny. You can't keep doing that with the nanny. Anyway,
you're making me blush on my own podcast.
What's the choice, Dan? What's the choice?
Well, it's not so much it is a choice at the end of the day. The World Cup in Qatar. I got a problem.
Qatar, as it's known.
Yeah, big time.
Qatar.
Now, this is a couple layers of conversation I was hoping that we could sort of peel back. One is that personally, I love soccer, football, whatever you call it, depending where you live. And I really enjoy watching the World Cup. However, I learned more and more about how Qatar bribed officials at the World Cup, like bribed officials to become the host nation of this year's World Cup. On top of that, I researched and learned about how Qatar has their population is like 90% not people from Qatar. Their workforce is predominantly a mixture of migrant workers who are treated horribly. Thousands have died while putting together this World Cup, and then on top of that, you have the whole issues of how gay people are. Just being gay in that country is basically essentially illegal and punishable by like 7 years in prison or death at sometimes if you're a native to Qatar. So because of all those things, before the World Cup started, I was like, you know what? As a person, I don't have many. I don't have a lot of things I can control. But what I can control is like what gets my eyeballs, my money, my attention. That's what I can do. So I was like, you know what? I don't think I can like watch the World Cup. And it was a really tough decision for me to make because I love soccer, man. It's fucking fun. It's the World Cup. Right. It's the biggest stage of competition for a lot of these players. And the US, the US is fucking in it. Like, I want to watch the US. I want to cheer on the US. So I've been pretty adamant on social media and stuff. Like, I'm not saying like cancel the World Cup, but I'm like, for me, I don't think I can get down with it and watch it.
At all, but you are.
I feel guilty. I feel like a hypocrite because I snuck in some watching of USA Iran today, and like while I'm super proud that they won, I do not condone where these games are being played,
Sure.
how they're being played, and essentially that nobody playing is like voicing any kind of distaste for these games.
Right.
Like England, they had a armband like supporting, uh, love is love and being homosexual. How it's all good. They're not Qatar and the World Cup were like, no one can wear that armband. If you wear that armband, you're getting a yellow card.
Right.
So they're not wearing it.
Right.
The Belgium team couldn't wear their jerseys that said like love on the inseam. Just the word love. Banned. Can't wear it. It's like,
Yeah.
and then I saw this news coverage of like this Danish news source. I just on the streets of Qatar like filming, and these officials came up to him. They're like, you cannot film here. It's like, what are you talking about? We have a permit to film. We're part of the press.
Right.
And they were like, no, you cannot film. He's like, you invited the world here,
Right.
and we can't cover it. It's like, why did y'all guys want these games?
Yeah.
They like Budweiser paid, I don't know, I forget the actual number, but like north of $100 million to be the sponsor, the beer sponsor to serve, and like minutes before game one, they banned sales of alcohol in the stadium. It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, that. Yeah, but they're not paying to sell Budweiser in there. They're paying to put up their name all over the place. I don't like.
true.
I don't feel like Budweiser really lost anything by
Yeah.
not being able to sell beer. I think it's like a very odd choice.
Right.
Because you can only imagine, like in a place like that. I mean, it's a very small country. It's no bigger than what, like, how big of a country, like landmass wise, is it? What's it comparable to?
It's the smallest country to ever host. Landmass size, I'm not sure. Let me check.
Like landmass Qatar versus our landmass? I mean, it's got 4,400 square miles. So the landmass is approximately 111% of the area of Hawaii.
Wow.
Let's
It's 849 times smaller than the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not 849 times smaller. That's pretty insane. Where is it? Like scale.
It's the size of Connecticut.
It's the size of Connecticut. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
It's fucking
like
Connecticut.
it's the Connecticut of the Middle East.
Yeah.
With bamboo shoots that they'll put in people's hands for drinking a Budweiser at a game.
Right. And then apparently this guy ran out from Africa. He ran out onto the field, had Iranian women's rights on his chest, gay flag, and then like a free Ukraine or stop the war in Ukraine on the front of the shirt.
Right.
We ever going to see that guy again?
Will
That
he ever
guy's-
see himself in the mirror because they're going to cut out his eyes?
Right.
I
But
mean,
I'm like, dude, that guy's a hero. Like,
he's a hero.
no one, like literally no one, no play. And I get it. Like, that's probably really hard for like someone who's grown up like dreaming of playing in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, this is the pinnacle. This is the largest stage of soccer, football that you can ever achieve.
Yeah.
And for me to sit here from home and be like, you guys are fucking cowards for not standing up and being like, I'm not playing.
Right.
You know? But I totally get it. Why someone would be like, "No, I'm going to play." Like,
Yeah,
while I don't agree,
I saw the news conference where they interviewed maybe like a U.S. soccer player,
mhm,
and he's like, and the person that was asking the question was trying to pin American choices on things they've done wrong in the past, and they're trying to
mm,
compare it to the things that Qatar had done, or Iran's like women's rights thing where they were doing it, and he was like supporting the women's rights, and
yeah,
the soccer player was black, and the guy's like, why are you not like standing up for these things? Why are you not doing this? And I'm just thinking to this guy, like, first of all, I don't control the masses of the people in either Iran or America, and I can't excuse the wrongdoings that are happening in the United States. But
yeah,
as a soccer player, like, because the guy even asked him, why are you even playing if you want to stand up? Like, you're still here playing. And for me, I think like my response would have been something like, hey, I am a soccer player. That's why I am here. I am a soccer player. But as a soccer player, I have a platform and a voice to be able to fight against all oppressions. I am not okay with what had happened to Black Americans and police violence in the United States, just like I am not okay with what has happened,
right,
the oppression of women in Iran and other like and the thing and the terrible things taking place in the Ukraine. I have a platform where I can bring voice and the opportunity to actually speak that. So that's why I'm here. On top of
yeah,
the fact that I am a soccer player playing soccer, like,
yeah. This is my job.
this is my job. But the benefit of my job is it gives me a platform to be able to speak out against the atrocities that are taking place all over the world. And if it's
Yeah,
not right, and if I don't say anything, there's real true guilt that at least, I can actually bring awareness. Like, that's it. I bring awareness.
yeah,
That's all I
yeah.
can do. I can't bring a hammer down on these countries, but I can bring awareness to it. And you can't stop that.
You know what my least favorite argument is in relationship to sort of anything that you decide to put your foot down on is the red herring bullshit. I always hate that way of arguing. Like, oh, like for example, like, well, you know, I don't want to watch the World Cup because of all these bad things that Qatar is associated with. And then someone comes and says, "Well, do you buy products from China? Do you know all the bad things that China's done?" And it's
Yeah.
like,
It's
yes,
it's what
it's
about them? It's what Trump did like all of those years. It's that idea to like deflect off of the
yeah,
problem at hand. It's like these are two separate issues. This is
right,
the issue that we're talking about today.
right. And then selective fucking people say like, "Oh, selective outrage." Isn't all outrage selective? That's what I say. All outrage is selective, and in that kind of thinking, you can't be mad about anything unless you're also equally mad about everything.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? It's all everything select. Like, people historically pick and choose the things that they care about and want to, for lack of a better word, like champion to change, you know?
Sure.
So
Sure.
like if you fucking love dogs and you want to rescue dogs all day, like that doesn't mean you hate the manatees. You know what I mean?
It's true. It's
I
true.
I I just hate that level of argument. So like I don't want other people to not watch the World Cup. Well, I guess I do. But I'm not mad at people for watching it. I get it. I totally get it. I want to watch it. I have watched some of it. I feel terrible about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do. It's
Yeah.
fucking it's a tough thing. Like, would you watch I'm trying to compare it to other stuff, but like I like if Nazi Germany was still Nazi Germany and the games were and the World Cup was there, like we wouldn't watch.
It's bullshit.
Like
We would
that
too.
would be like fuck no, right?
No,
Like,
I
we're
mean,
not
like
watching that.
well, first of all, were the Nazis kicked out of the Olympics?
Oh yeah, I
Like
think.
during World War II, like there was an Olympics held in Berlin, like before the United States got involved.
Oh shit.
But Berlin had held, they held the Olympics, and the United States, like, don't you remember who was it? The wow, man, what was it?
Jesse Owens.
Yeah, Jesse Owens, man, the 1936 Olympics. Like this was,
How'd I
yeah,
fucking pull that out of my head?
yeah, yeah,
With the fist in the air.
yeah, exactly. I mean, he won. Like,
Yeah.
they won it in 31 to do it, and the Olympics ran from August 1st of 36 to August 16th of 36. And then when did was World War II happening at that point?
I don't know.
When did World War II kick off? Was it 36? I think it was like that. I don't remember what the dates are on that. World War
don't know.
II took place. World War II kicked off from 39 to 45. That's right. That's right. Because the United
Yeah.
States got in 41 after to think that we were out of World War II for 2 years. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
I mean, that we were
Crazy.
indirectly out of it anyway. We weren't directly involved, but we were indirectly supporting certain groups of people.
Right.
Anyway, yeah.
And then does going to the games, playing in the games, not speaking out about any of these issues, the migrant workers, the corrupt way they got the games, and the anti anti-gay laws in that country, not speaking out on any of those issues, does that make you complicit? Does that make the sponsors of the games complicit? Does that make the players complicit? Does that make fans attending complicit in all of those things?
I don't know. I think that's tough. I think it's tough in that the thing with the World Cup is it's greater than the country that's hosting it. And so, like,
That's fair.
the World Cup symbolizes the world, right? And it just happens to be I mean, it doesn't happen. Like, obviously, we all know they bought it, but it's taking place in this country. So, actually, in my opinion, I'm under the belief that you actually go to these events to, again, use your platform to bring awareness to the injustices that are taking place in the place that you're actually there for. Now, with that being said, if I am Budweiser, that's the point of view of the player, right? As the
Right.
player, you should go to be the voice that can speak out. It's kind of like if the Olympics are held in China and you go to compete in the Olympics and you're aware of human rights violations by the Chinese, I think you as a competitor have a right, you have a job as somebody with a platform. And if you are informed and, are able to make, a logical case that these people have been taken, you should, as a player, use that platform to speak up about the injustices that are taking place in that area. So back to Qatar, if you are a company that pays that host country money to present your branding, I think that's a little different.
Yeah.
It's very small because as a player, you are kind of creating value for yourself and you are presenting yourself in a manner that actually adds value. So
but that money level for a company, like you're now fueling whatever it is they're using that money to do. So like you've contributed.
Yeah, I think yes, but I guess you could make the argument for the player too. You've contributed because you're willing to play the game there.
Yeah.
It's a hard line to balance.
It's really tough. It's
I
it's
think
not
as
a
a
good.
player,
There's no
I
good
think it
answer.
makes sense as a player. If you're a company that actually is paying to advertise there, I think as a company you should probably take a stand. If there's been a true injustice that is very
Yeah.
measurable, like, dead bodies underneath the stadium, like
Yeah.
bringing
Like
in your workers and then letting them die because they're not from Qatar, and just that kind of shit. Like, I
and
would almost say you pay to get in and then you pull out to make a stand.
yeah, dude, this shit it's fucked up. Like these migrant workers, they come over to Qatar like on basically like a work loan where they're gonna work for money and send it back to their families in wherever country they're from.
Yeah.
And then if they like s- multiple people have died from like heat exhaustion, some kind of like underlying work related thing that Qatar, their worker, basically you are fucking like you're a prisoner there. Your employer houses you, your employer takes your passport, your employer tells you when to work, when to stop,
Yeah.
where you're working,
Yeah.
and they own your ass. And if you die, they send you back in a box. But what's happening is they're dying from things, so kind of like the whole COVID thing, where like they're dying like in their sleep from fucking heat exhaustion, like while they were working, but they're not calling it like a work death, so they're not getting compensation
Right.
back to the country. It is so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's so fucked up. I can't believe it. And these people, they come over and they're like, well, I can make some. There's no work in my country. I can make good money in Qatar. Like it's a very wealthy nation.
Sure.
Like they're building, they're doing shit, but like it's all dirty. It's so dirty. And like, yeah, like I don't like Budweiser, like you like don't make a fucking commercial for the Super Bowl talking about you're a champion of gay rights, Don't like you can't, right?
Well, I will say that I think the hard part for a big company like, you know, Anheuser-Busch, whatever it is, because they're owned by this German company. Uh, they're not an American company anymore. AG Dev or something like that.
Oh, okay.
They are, they were the largest, maker of alcoholic beverages in the world. And so,
Yeah.
and they own all kinds of brands. And it's not just Budweiser, but it is this, it is, again, it's the games. It's not the place, although
Yeah.
I think they're still paying money. I think the World Cup is paid a certain percentage to, like, the Federation, FIFA, they're putting on that event. I mean, I don't know who gets the money for all of that advertising. I'm guessing it's probably the location.
Yeah.
But
And on the flip side too, I just like shared a post from like a German from I think it was like a Bayern Munich like Facebook page, like a verified page or whatever. And I shared like a picture that they shared of like some stands that were like boycott Qatar or whatever. And so that got a lot of comments and feedback because I shared it from them.
yeah,
And like so like I don't know if it was bots or what, but I got a lot of like Islamic names commenting and stuff, and some of them were saying uh like like this is the West, like we think being gay is not right. Don't try to change us, this is that's what we believe. And I'm like, I don't, I don't fucking know. Just don't fucking know. I don't think that's right, but like, I do understand. Like, we wouldn't want to be influenced by another country in that regard.
well, I
Like,
think you're kind of playing on like cultural differences. However,
yeah.
like
However, this, yeah,
gay rights, I don't, I mean, you can't really put it in a culture difference because there are
This
there
isn't
are
like you
there are
better use
gay,
chopsticks.
there are LGBTQ people in all walks of life, whether they are European, white,
Yeah,
black, Arab, like they're all that. You want
100%.
to ignore the truth, that's fine. You know, there's an interesting statistic with a lot of these things too, where a lot of men in Arab communities, they don't spend time with women or girls when they're younger. They're kind of segregated. And a lot of the time their first sexual experience is with a man.
Mm. Okay.
And it's like, you know, and I'm not saying like sex with a man, but I'm saying like their first sexual experience, whether that's like, you know, masturbation or mutual masturbation or whatever it is. Like
Right.
those are things. And I know I'm like just saying this without anything to back it up, but
Yeah.
there is something out there where uh where it is like their first sexual experiences with a man. Um they just don't talk about it. Okay. Like, or maybe it's Indian men, maybe it's not Middle Eastern men.
I mean,
And I should probably be careful because I'm not 100% sure. I shouldn't be like spitting that nonsense without really having anything to back that up with. Let's just say,
well,
you know, no, I'm kidding. But anyway,
it wouldn't surprise me, you know. I just
I'm not
I don't,
judging if that's the case. I'm just saying.
it's just it's so difficult because the things that, like I said, like the things that you can control in your life is really like where you put your eyeballs, where you spend your money, like, and how you like spend your time. And
Right.
aside from like, I can't go to Qatar and like protest.
Right.
You know, it's not going to happen. All I got is my eyeballs in this situation. So I don't know. I'm not saying like cancel the World Cup, fuck the World Cup. I'm just like, I just don't think that I can watch it, and I feel terrible for watching the little that I have. You know?
I don't feel terrible. I haven't really watched any of it. I followed more of the social element to it online.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched what did I watch? Mexico and Poland play. And that's it. I mean, that's kind of it. I don't like
The USA Iran
here's
was
the interesting
intense.
element to it. Like I know it's happening right now, but truth of the matter is it's not being shoved down my throat like past World Cups have been.
Yeah.
It is tamped down. Like it is not as
It's
prominent
not
as
yeah.
prevalent as it normally is. Like it does feel like it's actually like the social issues are in the foreground. The games are in the
Yeah.
background, and it's not as, you know, obviously they're not running commercials. Like Budweiser's not running commercials about it. Nobody's really running commercials about the World Cup with the exception of the news saying like,
I saw like it was like Peyton Manning and David Beckham eating like Frito-Lay chips. And they were like, and at the end of it, it was like, have these while you enjoy the World Cup.
okay, well,
So Frito Lay's in bed.
way to go, Peyton Manning, Qatar loving piece of garbage. Now he's my favorite quarterback of all time. But
You fucking condone that bullshit, Peyton.
come on, man. Ning. Anyway.
I just like I guess I'm more upset with the larger businesses than the people and people who have traveled there. But then again, like, is that good for the country to see all these different walks of life? You know, could you be the change?
You mean is it good for Qatar?
Yeah, to like
I mean,
go there and
I think I look at Qatar as a country that's like it's like a small neighborhood
right.
and it's probably pretty male dominated, right? And
Yeah.
it's probably very conservative. And I don't
Also,
necessarily think it's like obviously you can tell they're putting their foot down on what they're not allowing and what they are allowing. And so
yeah,
I don't think you're going to change that. Will it change the locals? I think the locals are probably there's not enough of them.
yeah,
And they're all in bed with the top guys anyway.
yeah. And it's funny because there's a lot of like money, Qatari money in English Premier League football. Like they own Newcastle, the team.
Mm-hmm.
They own even France. Like the Qatari group owns Paris Saint-Germain. That's Leo Messi's team in Paris. It's a huge team. So it has like so many great players on it. That their money is in there. And I know in English Premier League games, like they kneel for at the beginning of each game for and racism. They wear the like love is love armbands,
Yeah,
all
but
that
it's
stuff.
different.
And it's like
Different. It's different when you're in Europe
right.
because like
But they
those
own the
teams,
team. They
that's
own the
great.
team.
It's great they own the clubs, but for the most part, like those clubs are still locally like they have to appeal to
Operated.
the local communities still. They can't. It's different. If it's a Qatar team, it's different. You know, if you're Qatar or Qatar or however you say it, Qatar, I don't even remember. You know, it is what it is. Like you can't. They have to still. They're still a business, and they still have to appeal to their own communities. So if their own communities are saying love is love, well, we got to let it happen. But if you're in our
Right.
country and you're our team representing us, you got to do it this way. Anyway.
Right. Well, to each
Is their own.
bro.
Bro.
Decaf.
No.
Decaf.
I'm not doing this game.
Decaf.
Yeah, man. I took an espresso shot before we did this.
Oh no.
Decaf? Get out of here. I'm gonna be awake until midnight. I was thinking actually after we got done with this, I was gonna go for a run.
Are you serious?
My
You're
heart's-
fucking jolt or
Do-do-do-do-do-do. I'm listening to a podcast today. Did you hear me? Something just
Yeah.
went all weird. Listen to a podcast today. They say the average American eats 237 pounds of meat a year.
damn.
Put that on your plate.
I believe it.
Yeah. Average
How
European,
much?
Average European, 112.
Interesting. Like how
It's
much
high-
is it?
Oh, sorry. Go.
Like how much does a chicken breast weigh?
Well, the
Half
hard
pound?
part about listening to this was talking about how terrible the meat industry is. Like, it was this whole podcast about like how animals are treated and how they've basically genetically bred chickens to the point now where their breasts are so big, the areas that we eat are so big that these animals can't carry their weight.
They're like the chickens we want.
Yes. And they've also genetically bred them to the point to where that they're full grown in 6 weeks, which is a crazy amount of time.
Wow.
And the other interesting thing is that genetic breeding up to 6 weeks is, even if they didn't want to kill them and slaughter them for their meat, they would die because they end up with heart attacks because their bodies can't support their weight and because they're completely unhealthy. Like they're
Holy
just
shit.
so they don't live past 7 or 8 weeks naturally anyway. And it's absolutely like the chicken game is crazy. And the other thing too is like the pork game's crazy, the beef game's crazy, and 99% of all of our meats come from these farms.
Dude, if you're a chicken, you're getting You getting eaten up.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like 99% of all chickens comes from these farms. It's not what you think. It's like it's a crazy number. It's like it's so nuts. And you think, well, what about grass-fed beef or whatever it is? It's like, sure, but unless it's part of like some bigger global thing, more than likely these are still like they're living within the rules that we've designated as it's okay, right? Like these
Wow.
animals don't have room to roam or anything, and they're just slaughtered at that time. One of the things they do with pigs when they breed pigs is they put the female pigs in a cage and they can't turn around. They're stuck head out the whole time that they're gestating until the pig is born.
Why?
I don't know. They didn't say that. I asked the same question to myself when they were talking about it. I was like, why? Why would they do that? Like, what's the purpose of like putting these cows? But I mean, they're like tightly placed next to each other. So anyway, I just like, and the whole point of the conversation was to say that our meat prices, the fact that we have been pushing meat prices down, is a cause of it. To give you an example, a pound of chicken in 1950 was $1 a pound. Like the cost of chicken was that expensive. What that equates to in today's dollars, and that's when they were like, there wasn't this big farm with chickens, right?
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
were big farms with chickens, but it's how you would see chickens today. Chicken was different. The food, the chicken we eat was different. And it came down to, and if you put that in today's dollars, it's like $7 or $8 a pound for chicken. And today it's as cheap as $1 a pound for chicken.
Wow.
So it shows you how Big Farm has been able to cut the costs, provide cheaper meats.
Didn't we vote like several years ago about how like you can't stack the chickens anymore? Like I think that was a thing.
No, there's some rules there
because they
but
shit on each other.
Yes, and they talked about that. They talked about the shitting on these animals shitting on themselves.
Right.
And they live in
And
that. They live in their own shit. But she did say
we
that it's like,
voted like maybe 6 years ago
state of California might have
that you
some
can't
different
do
rules.
that.
Yeah, if you're doing that in the state of California, but federally, I don't know. Is it federally voted on?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're in Missouri or Kansas or any of these southern
Stack
states,
them
like,
high.
stack 'em
Stack them
high as you
high.
want, sail as many piggies as you can. You know, that's a thing. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It makes me really question meat so much.
Well, bro, it doesn't make me question decaf coffee.
What's the point?
Bro, it's changed me.
What do you mean it's changed you?
I'm off the coffee. Like I'm not getting heart flutters.
Oh, really?
Thank God.
How much
yeah.
coffee were you drinking a day?
It's drinking like a cup in the morning, like a big iced coffee at in the middle of the day, and then sometimes a big iced coffee on the way home.
So you would do what I would do: 2 before 2 and a 4 o'clock Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like, I'll do a cup in the morning to wake me up, and then sometimes I'll do one. I don't normally do one around noon. I normally will do one maybe at like later in the day, like when I know I'm going to go home and I have to like take care of the fam. Like tonight.
Yeah.
I had a cup of coffee and then I came home and then I took a shot because I knew we were going to be going until late.
Dude, it's placebo for me now. I'll have the decaf in the morning. That's just like my morning drink.
Is that the only so that was the only time you would ever get caffeine? So you're no longer addicted to caffeine is what you're telling me? Did you go through withdrawals?
I mean, I've definitely noticed being more tired throughout the day and I guess some weight gain and irritability. Yeah, it's been over a week now. No coffee.
Wow.
Well, no caffeinated coffee.
Sure.
So,
well,
I
I like a good roast. So that sounds right. Okay.
It just yeah, I do miss a little bit of that. Like you take that first sip and like, there's something in there. There's definitely something in there that isn't in the decaf.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well,
Like it used to hit me like, oh yeah.
I need to remove my name from down here. That
What?
don't exist no more.
You're out.
Twitter's done, bro.
That's your Insta though.
Oh, okay, good. Guys, go to my Insta.
Isn't that your Insta?
Just
I
so
always
you
thought that
know,
was.
my Insta's blocked unless we're friends already, so you won't be able to see it.
Oh, did you get on Hive?
No.
You're not doing Hive?
Nah, man. No.
I haven't been on Hive in a minute.
I haven't been on it ever. So I don't know why you're not doing Be Real. Why don't you do Be Real, Dan? You know, the
Fuck
App Store.
Be Real.
You know, the App Store just came out with its top 20 apps of the year.
Yeah.
From Apple's App Store, and Be Real was number 1.
Be Real?
Yeah.
The one where you gotta like randomly post.
Yeah, like at certain times of the day. Yeah. They also did their top 10 stream songs of the year.
Yeah.
And
What
I
was it?
didn't know a couple of them. I haven't heard a couple of these songs, so I was really surprised. But number one is Justin Bieber.
Really?
Justin Bieber and that what do you call it? What's that guy's name? Kid Leroy. I'll be the same thing I told you that I wanna be. Tell me a thing.
Oh yeah.
Wanna be. That's the number 1 song. Yeah.
Told you I changed.
I
Even
do
when
have
I
to say,
said I
though,
never could.
Justin Bieber, man, love the guy, love his music, think he's great. So keep it up, Biebs.
We love you, Biebs.
All right, Dan, that's it, man.
Well,
We're done. Unless you got something more important you want to say. I've got a couple more topics, but I'm not going to jump into them tonight. I'm just not going to.
that's it.
That's it.
That's
We're
it.
done. That's it, man. We got into Qatar,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, and that's it.
Go Wizards, man. Go USA.
Thanks for listening and laughing with the Dan and Kody podcast. Our email is danandcodypodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are on Instagram at Dan Kody Podcast. Check out our website, danandcody.com, and you can contribute to the podcast by going to patreon.com/Dan Kody Podcast.
Subscribe, bitch.
Everybody play the tough guy and shit.